9:37 right now. Officials with the American Bar Association are proposing to end its practice of reserving 5 seats on its governing board for women, racial minorities, and other underrepresented groups. This comes as the organization's diversity policies have come under scrutiny in President Trump's second term. Instead, new changes would set aside 3 board seats for lawyers they say are committed to advancing diversity and inclusion regardless of the candidates' demographic backgrounds. Overall, the board would be reduced from the current 43 members down to 32 under the proposal. The House of Delegates would consider the changes when it meets next week.
We want to bring in Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes, also an attorney, so somebody who knows about the ABA very well. Khalif, this is just the latest in what has been an interesting time for the American Bar Association. What do you make of this before we get into some specifics?
2 steps forward and 15 steps backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll drop some numbers on you. The American Bar was founded in 1878, right? 1912, that's a year that sticks out to me. Why? The first ever African-American elected U.S. attorney in 1911 was awarded membership. And what did the American Bar Association say during that time? They gave him membership, and then they rescinded it in 1912. It is in ignorance of material facts, and that the Settled Practice Association has been elected only white men as members. So they recognized their error in admitting him as an African American, and in 1912, a year later, rescinded his membership. 1943, they decided, okay, 30 years later, we made the wrong decision, that race won't be a color, a determining factor, and that we're going to allow all creeds and all colors to be admitted. And so then it took about, 60 years later, 2003, Dennis Archer, former mayor of Detroit, who I had a number of opportunities to meet when I was in the Michigan area, 2003. That's the time it took from us rescinding African-American leadership, or I should say membership, to having an African-American president. 2015, first African-American female president of the American Bar Association. And so when you have diversity of not just thought, but actual diversity in the room, you're able to at least see from different perspectives and allow folks the opportunity to be in the room. Sure. And so it took from this person that was duly elected as a U.S. Attorney General that couldn't even get membership in this board, to now, 100 years later, to having a president, to now taking steps back to making sure that those seats are not even afforded to folks there. So to me, it's a sad step, but I can understand that there are attacks in all locations in our country right now, and this is one of them, with the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as it continues to be attacked, you'll see more organizations do things like this.
Khalif, one of the things we said in the intro was some of the new changes are setting aside 3 different board seats for those lawyers, quote, that are committed to advancing diversity and inclusion regardless of their backgrounds. Who decides who's committed, and based on what? What's their criteria?
So that would be
everyone's committed.
That would be more of the diversity of thought as opposed to the diversity. Someone that says, I stand for ensuring that equality and equity, I should say, is something that's at the forefront of our organization. Studies have shown that diversity makes organizations better. I mean, that's just clear. Mm-hmm. When you have a diverse thought process and diverse individuals, it brings up your organizations. And so the thought process is, when you ask the question of what does it mean to have and who makes that determination, I'm not sure what that means, because someone could say that they are in favor of making sure that the organization is diverse. And you don't have to be from a diverse background, but I do think it helps. And it helps in these organizations. And if it didn't, they wouldn't have been attempting to do this for years. What we're now seeing is this reverse discrimination increase of litigation. Mm-hmm. We're seeing an increase of ideals that I don't want the laws that were put in place to bring equity, to right the wrongs of 100+ years of inequality, to now be used to continue to right those wrongs.
And Khalif, real quick, as we mentioned, this is just a tip of it. They've also stopped enforcing DEI at law schools because they've been removed from doing that. They originally set the deadline for this summer. Now it's been pushed to 2026. Is this the end, do you think, of ABA, or is there going to be more takedowns for the DEI practices in terms of what ABA is involved in?
What I can say is I don't think this is the end. This is just we're on a roller coaster ride. Mm-hmm. And right now we're in that point in history in our country where folks are fed up with the efforts that were being made with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And just like in the 50s and 60s, typically you see people that are frustrated with it, and then at some point you get back on the upswing.
Khalif, real quick, I do want to ask you, though, when you take the bar exam, right, does that change based on the color of your skin, or is the bar exam if you're qualified to become an attorney?
100%. It doesn't change. It doesn't make the bar exam. They're not going to have a black bar and a white bar. If you're qualified to be a member of the bar in your individual state, your race doesn't play a part, but your opportunity to get to law schools. The ABA also makes the accreditation process, and so some schools, when they were banning African Americans, women, and other minority groups from being admitted, the ABA was lifting some of those barriers out of the way. And so when you have folks in the room that have went through those types of things and had to go around or jump over barriers, it makes it easier for you to say and argue to the board, hey, we shouldn't have these policies in place. And so, yes, the bar is equal, but the access and the opportunity to get to law school is not equal, still to this day.
Interesting.
All right, yeah, Khalif, thanks for your insight today. Appreciate it.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.